The Last Light Café was tucked away on a side street, a hidden gem in the bustling city. Its large windows displayed shelves of worn books and comfy armchairs, inviting passers-by to step inside. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee and cinnamon pastries filled the air, a comforting scent that promised warmth and peace.
I always believed in the power of a warm drink and a listening ear. The loneliness of the city, you see it in the eyes of those who come here. They seek solace, a moment of respite from the relentless pace of their lives.
Myra, the owner, was a woman who seemed to exist outside of time. Her silver hair was always pulled back in a neat bun, her smile lines etched by years of shared laughter and quiet wisdom. She knew her customers by name, remembering their orders and their stories. The cafe was her haven, a place where everyone was welcome and no one felt alone.
And I offer them exactly that.
The storm arrived without warning, a sudden onslaught of howling wind and torrential rain. The sky, once a clear autumn blue, turned a menacing shade of grey, mirroring the anxiety that began to grip the city. People rushed for cover, seeking refuge from the elements that seemed determined to unleash their fury.
My heart goes out to those caught in its path.
Inside the Last Light Café, Mira watched as the storm raged outside. Suddenly, the lights flickered, plunging the cafe into darkness. A collective gasp echoed through the room as the familiar hum of the city was replaced by an unsettling silence. Mira quickly lit a collection of candles, their flickering flames casting dancing shadows on the walls. The cafe, once bathed in the warm glow of electric lights, took on an ethereal quality. A sanctuary illuminated by the soft glow of candlelight. The storm raged on, but inside the Last Light Café, a sense of calm prevailed. The cafe's windows, usually a portal to the bustling city outside, now reflected the candlelit interior, a beacon in the storm-ravaged darkness. Drawn to the warm light, strangers hesitantly pushed open the door, seeking refuge from the elements and the unsettling power outage.
I was physically and emotionally drained, just finishing a double shift at the nearby hospital. The weight of the day was heavy on my shoulders.
Deadlines and venture capitalists were on my mind. The storm forced me to seek shelter, interrupting my always-on, fast-paced world.
A struggling musician named Ben, his guitar case slung over his shoulder, found himself drawn to the light. He had been playing in the subway when the storm hit, his music drowned out by the downpour.
The storm, it just drowned out my music.
And finally, there was Mr. Thompson, an elderly war veteran, his face etched with the memories of a life well lived. He often sought solace in the familiar comfort of the Last Light Café, his presence a reminder of a bygone era.
This place, it always brings back memories of a different time.
The candlelight seemed to melt away the barriers that usually separated strangers, creating an atmosphere of intimacy and shared experience. Conversations sparked, hesitant at first, then flowing more freely as the storm raged on. As the storm raged outside, a strange sense of camaraderie filled the small cafe.
You know, sometimes it feels like the weight of the world is on my shoulders. The hospital, it can be so overwhelming.
I can only imagine, Sarah, but hey, you're doing an incredible job, don't forget that.
Sarah, the nurse, found herself confiding in Daniel, the tech entrepreneur, about the emotional toll her job often took.
All right, everyone, how about a little music to lighten the mood?
Ben, the musician, began to play a soft melody on his guitar, the music weaving its way through the room, a soothing balm to frayed nerves.
You know, back in the war, we had nights like this too. We'd huddle together, sharing stories to keep our spirits up.
Mr. Thompson, his gruff exterior softened by the warmth of the cafe and the shared experience, began to share stories of his time in the war.
Here you go, everyone. Some warm drinks to keep the chill away.
And through it all, Mira moved among her impromptu guests, offering warm drinks and words of comfort. As the hours passed, the storm began to subside. The wind, which had been howling like a banshee, died down to a gentle whisper. The rain, which had been pounding against the windows, softened to a steady drizzle. And through the now clear sky, a glimmer of moonlight peeked through the clouds, casting an ethereal glow on the storm-ravaged city. Inside the Last Light Café, the candles flickered, their flames reflecting in the wide, hopeful eyes of the unusual gathering. Strangers brought together by circumstance had shared their stories, their fears, their laughter. They had found solace in the shared experience, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, human connection shines through. The power outage, which had initially been met with anxiety and uncertainty, had become a catalyst, stripping away the veneer of everyday life and revealing the raw, vulnerable humanity beneath. In the intimate, candlelit space of the Last Light Café, social barriers crumbled and genuine connections were forged. Suddenly, the lights flickered back on, flooding the cafe with a wave of bright, almost jarring light. The familiar hum of the city resumed, a stark contrast to the quiet intimacy that had permeated the cafe just moments before. There were collective sighs of relief, a sense of normalcy returning, but something had shifted. The patrons, once strangers seeking refuge from the storm, lingered in their seats, reluctant to break the fragile bonds that had formed. The storm may have passed, but the warmth of the shared experience, the feeling of belonging, remained.
Take your time, everyone. No rush to leave just yet.
Mira, her eyes twinkling with understanding, moved about the cafe, her presence a comforting constant. She knew that the city outside awaited, that life would soon resume its normal rhythm. But for now, in the warm glow of the Last Light Café, the world felt a little brighter, a little kinder, a little more connected. And that, she knew, was a light worth holding on to.